actually pretty big for Ethereum. Obviously, we've had massive treasury buys coming this week, right? And more to come, of course. So this is the week Tom Lee said, "I want 5% of all Bitcoins of all Ether supply," right? So that's 6 million Ether. Okay, that would 20x his current purchases, which have are about 1 billion in Ether right now. We saw Joe Lubin yesterday in SBET with issuing shares, the commitment to issue shares to buy 500 billion more in Ether. Okay, so you've got this horse race going on with all the treasury companies. Not just that, we've had some of the biggest ETF, actually the biggest Ether ETF flows on record. So they're getting to the point where they are almost exceeding Bitcoin daily flows. And Ether is just a much smaller asset, 1/4 the size of Bitcoin. We also had BlackRock, and they're filing for a staking ETF. And that's happening. And then just yesterday, and this is where I want you to comment, we got the Clarity Bill Act, we got the Anti-CBDC Act, and most importantly, it looks like the Genius Act is going to be signed by Donald Trump this afternoon. Part of your thesis, Leo, is that the more assets that are issued on Ethereum, the network, the higher ETH goes in terms of price.
I think that large financial institutions have kind of dabbled in blockchain and crypto, but the thing about big companies like that is they don't like risk. And so you have this regulatory risk of, well, what happens if we spend millions of dollars building out this blockchain infrastructure and suddenly the government says, no, you can't do that. So there's a lot of risk that's been taken off the plate because of the Genius Act, because of the Clarity Act going through. And I think that is what's going to drive a lot of its adoption, is that now these companies can say, okay, now we can go ahead and put the foot on the gas. We can go ahead and adopt, and it's also going to force companies that maybe didn't want to build on blockchain. They wanted to stay with the old system, because if you don't start building on it, you're going to be left behind and your business is going to die out. We don't see banks today that aren't on the internet and they're only dealing in paper. So I think we're moving into an environment where these institutions are going to take advantage of a presidency that is pro-crypto, and they're going to push as much adoption as they possibly can, because once it's systemically entrenched in the system and everybody's using it, it's not like the next administration can come in and start taking things, just completely, no, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to tear out all this infrastructure that we've built. So I think that the next 3.5 years, these financial firms are going to really push adoption while they have a very favorable regulatory environment. If Ethereum is a big economy, it does well where there's a lot of liquidity and low interest rates so people can borrow, because businesses grow